What if everything you thought you knew about how a car is made was completely wrong? What if I told you that somewhere in the world, hidden behind unmarked gates and guarded walls, there exists a factory so exclusive, so obsessively secretive, that fewer people have walked its floors than have summited Mount Everest? A place where the air itself is filtered to remove microscopic particles that might contaminate a surface worth more than your house. A place where a single wrong decision made by a single pair of human hands can destroy $300,000 of raw material in an instant. You are not supposed to be here. The engineers don't talk about what happens inside. The technicians sign agreements that bind them to silence for years after they leave. Even the suppliers who deliver components to the building are escorted by security the moment they pass through the outer perimeter. And yet today, for the first time, we are going in. We are walking through the doors of the most expensive, most secretive, most obsessively engineered automobile manufacturing facility on the planet. We are going inside the Bugatti Factory, and we are going to watch step by step exactly how a $3 million hypercar is born. This is not a car factory in any sense you have ever imagined. There are no robots spraying paint over thousands of identical shells moving down a conveyor at industrial speed. There are no shifts of 500 workers clocking in and out while bodies roll past them on hooks. What exists in Molsheim, in the Alsace region of northeastern France, is something that defies every assumption the modern world has made about mass production. The facility is called the Atelier, and the name was chosen deliberately. Not a plant, not a factory. An atelier, the French word for a craftsman's workshop, a sculptor's studio, an artist's space. Because what is built here is not manufactured in the traditional sense. It is composed. It is assembled the way a master watchmaker assembles a movement, piece by piece, with hands that have trained for decades, with eyes that can detect a gap of 0.2 of a millimeter without instruments. Every single car that leaves this building has been touched by fewer than 20 people. Every single one of those 20 people represents the absolute pinnacle of their respective discipline. You cannot apply to work here. You are found, you are invited. And even then, most candidates don't make it through the qualification period. The Bugatti Chiron, the car at the center of what you are about to witness, produces 1,600 horsepower from an 8-liter, 16-cylinder engine that runs 4 turbochargers simultaneously. It reaches 60 miles per hour from a standing start in under 2.5 seconds. Its top speed is electronically limited to 261 miles per hour, not because the car couldn't go faster, but because no tire currently manufactured by any company on Earth can withstand the forces that would be generated beyond that threshold. The waiting list to purchase one has, at various points, stretched beyond 3 years. Customers wire the full amount, the entire $3 million, before a single component bearing their name has been ordered. And every one of those customers knows that what they are really paying for is not speed, not horsepower, not leather or carbon fiber or titanium. They are paying for something that cannot be quantified. They are paying for the knowledge that every single element of what they are about to receive was made specifically, exclusively, and irreversibly for them alone. Before we go any deeper into what happens on that factory floor, I need you to do something. If you have ever seen a process this extraordinary and wished more people knew about it, drop a comment right now and tell me what shocked you the most so far. Type one word, type a paragraph, tell me what you were not expecting. That comment does more than you think. It tells the algorithm that this content matters, and it brings this kind of investigation to more people who deserve to see it. While you're at it, hit the like button, because the research that goes into exposing a facility like this takes time and access that most channels will never have. And if you haven't subscribed yet, do it now, because what comes next inside this atelier is going to permanently change the way you look at every car you have ever seen on the road. The process begins long before the atelier ever receives a physical component. It begins in a room that Bugatti engineers refer to internally as the configuration chamber, though that clinical name dramatically understates what actually takes place inside it. This is where the future owner of the car sits with a team of specialists and makes decisions that will define every visible and tactile surface of their vehicle. The color choices alone can take weeks. Bugatti maintains a palette that runs into the hundreds. But more significantly, the company will formulate entirely new colors on request, colors that exist nowhere in the world, colors that will be mixed, tested, applied to sample panels, adjusted, remixed and tested again until the customer's vision is matched with chemical precision. The paint formulation for a single custom shade can require upward of 40 individual test panels before approval. Those panels, each one a small rectangle of carbon fiber coated in successive layers of primer, base coat and lacquer, are archived permanently in the Bugatti records. If the car is ever damaged decades from now and requires repainting, the original formula exists in those archives, and the exact shade can be recreated down to the molecular level. Carbon fiber is not a material most factories handle the way Bugatti handles it. In conventional automotive manufacturing, carbon fiber components are purchased pre-formed from specialized suppliers and bolted onto a structure. What happens in Molsheim is categorically different. The carbon fiber for a Bugatti Chiron is woven in-house, layer by layer, by technicians whose entire professional focus is the behavior of this single material under stress. The weave patterns are not aesthetic choices, they are structural calculations. Different sections of the monocoque, the central tub that forms the core of the car's architecture, require different fiber orientations depending on the loads those sections will bear at maximum speed and in emergency braking scenarios. A technician working on the monocoque is not assembling a product. They are making a series of engineering decisions with their hands in real time, laying each sheet of pre-impregnated carbon at angles specified to fractions of a degree, checking tension, checking overlap, checking the positioning of structural inserts that will later receive bolts carrying forces measured in tons. The completed monocoque then enters one of the autoclaves, enormous pressure ovens that cure the resin under heat and pressure simultaneously, fusing the layers into a single continuous structure with no seams, no joints, no weakness. The curing cycle runs for hours. Nobody rushes it. When the monocoque emerges from the autoclave and passes its dimensional inspection, the real assembly begins. And this is where the word atelier truly earns its meaning. The Chiron is not built on a moving line. It is built on a stationary fixture, and it does not move until it is complete. The team assigned to each car works on that car alone, from the first component installation to the final road test. They know the car's configuration number. They know the owner's name. In some cases, they have corresponded with the owner directly. There is no anonymity in this process. There is no interchangeable workforce clocking in to continue someone else's incomplete work. The same hands that route the first hydraulic line in the engine bay are the hands that close the final panel and sign their name to the quality record. This is accountability at a level that exists almost nowhere else in modern manufacturing. The engine itself arrives from Volkswagen Group's specialized facility, already assembled and bench-tested, but Bugatti technicians strip portions of it down and rebuild them on-site, verifying tolerances and hand-fitting components that the factory specifications identify as requiring individual matching. The 16 cylinders fire in a sequence choreographed to balance loads across the crankshaft at rotational speeds exceeding 9,000 revolutions per minute. The 4 turbochargers operate in a 2-stage sequential arrangement, 2 spooling at lower engine speeds and all 4 engaging simultaneously above a threshold that physically compresses the occupants into their seats. The cooling system managing this engine is itself a feat of engineering that most manufacturers would consider the centerpiece of their entire vehicle program. Bugatti treats it as a subsystem, one of dozens of equally demanding problems that have been solved and built into a package smaller than many economy car engines in terms of installed footprint. The interior assembly follows the mechanical build, and this phase slows the pace of work dramatically. The leather used in a Chiron interior is sourced from specific animals in specific regions, selected for hide consistency, grain uniformity, and the absence of any natural scarring that might compromise the visual perfection of a panel seen at close range. The hides are delivered to a specialist workshop where they are cut using precision dies, stitched on machines calibrated to maintain thread tension identical across every seam, and inspected under raking light that reveals any surface irregularity invisible to normal illumination. A single dashboard in a Bugatti Chiron contains more individual stitches than many factories complete across their entire daily production output. The stitching patterns are not decorative. They are structural, binding multiple layers of leather, foam and backing material into a composite that must remain dimensionally stable through temperature cycles ranging from sub-zero winter storage to the heat generated by full-speed operation on a closed circuit in midsummer. When the car is mechanically and cosmetically complete, it enters a phase that no production car in the world undergoes at anything approaching this intensity. The pre-delivery inspection at Bugatti runs for a minimum of several days and covers over 500 individual checkpoints. Technicians use tools that measure panel gaps in hundredths of a millimeter and compare every reading against a master record established during the initial body build. The paint surface is inspected under multiple lighting conditions, including direct sunlight simulation, because a defect, invisible under artificial lighting, may become apparent the moment the car is driven out of the building into natural daylight. The electronics are cycled through diagnostic routines that simulate years of operational inputs in compressed sequences. The brakes are bedded in under controlled deceleration on a test track adjacent to the facility. The engine is heat-cycled through multiple warm-up and cool-down sequences before it ever sees road load. And then, finally, after months of work, after hundreds of hands have played their role and stepped back, the car is driven out. Not shipped, not trucked. Driven, slowly, deliberately by a test driver who knows every characteristic of the platform, out of the atelier and into the world it was built to inhabit. Somewhere, a customer who wired $3 million years ago is about to receive a phone call. And what they are receiving is not a product. It is proof that human hands, when given unlimited time, unlimited resources and unlimited accountability, can still build something that no machine working alone could ever produce. So tell me, what part of this process shocked you the most? Was it the weeks spent on paint formulation, the individual carbon fiber weave, the fact that the same team builds the same car from first bolt to final inspection? Drop your answer in the comments right now, because I read every single one, and your response shapes exactly what we investigate next.